Hey folks, good evening. Told you, posted on the 304 Farms Facebook page that I was going to tell you the legend of the white hatch rooster. And I got to tell you a little bit of background first so you have a bit of an idea of what I'm talking about. So growing up, I grew up on a farm on about 3 acres in Fayette County. We had horses and cattle, we had pigs, and we had chickens. The chickens we had were game chickens. This was back when it was still legal to go to Kentucky and fight game chickens. And as redneck as that sounds, that's the reality. Growing up as a kid, we fought chickens. One of the things you need to know about chicken fighters is they're all full of crap. And what I mean by that, like if you go to Rural King, Tractor Supply, whatever, you buy a chicken, and they have it tagged. Like you can see it'll say, Rhode Island Red, White Leghorn, whatever it may be. Well, you can only take the hatchery's word for it. Well, game rooster breeders, they would make up all kinds of stuff. So game chickens also have individual breeds. So you have like your lacy roundheads, you have your Kelso, you have your green-legged hatch, you have your blue-face hatch, you have your Acel. There's all these different kinds of chicken breeds. And you would ask a guy, what's your rooster? What kind of breed is your rooster? And a lot of times they just feed you full of all kinds of crap. And they thought it was because it was a competitive advantage. Certain roosters have certain characteristics. One may jump high whenever it fights. One may stay low on the ground. And sometimes it'll give you an advantage over somebody else. So that's why they would lie to you. Well, there was one weekend, my brother and I were going to go to, or we were getting ready to go to the fights in Kentucky. And we had to get all of our roosters fed. That's what we were doing. We were feeding all the roosters that were at home, and then we were gathering up the roosters that needed to go in the boxes to be transported to Kentucky. And we were the biggest bunch of BSers that you would come across. I've got a couple stories about it, but this one specific is about the white hatch. Well, I was born in 1981, and the way my story went is I was telling my brother that back in the 1950s, me and Bill Ray, now you already know that I'm going pretty wild when I'm talking about being alive in the 1950s. Bill Ray was the name of, I think he was a famous chicken fighter. There was a chicken fighting magazine that would come out once a month, and my stepdad was subscribed to it, and I think that was one of the names that I saw from one of the great breeders from, and fighters from years past. So I made up this chicken in my head. I told my brother, I said, back in the 1950s, Bill Ray and I raised these white roosters. They were solid white. They had a straight comb and they were green legs, and that we won thousands of dollars in the 50s with them. Completely making this stuff up. I'd never seen a chicken like this in my whole life. They're at least not a game chicken. There were some white chickens, but they usually were white with black speckles and stuff like that. And I had never seen a solid white chicken. So fast forward to the next day, we go to Mingo County. We're down in Gilbert, staying at a buddy's house before we make the trip across into Kentucky. And he's like, hey, let's go down and talk to these guys. We go down and talk to these guys on the side of the road. They had if you've ever been to Gilbert, West Virginia, they basically put trailers everywhere. So, this was just like a trailer or house right on the side of the road. And I get out, and I shit you not, he's got a whole yard full of white roosters with green legs. And I said, I want one of them right now. And I told him the story about how I was making it up and things like that. And me and my buddy Toof, that's his nickname. His name's Jeremy, but my buddy Toof, and my another one of our buddies that was with us, that we all threw in together, and we paid $50 for this rooster. So I know some of y'all are thinking $50 for a rooster. Well, that's cheap for a game rooster. So he was young. He was a young rooster, had never been fought or anything like that. And we get down to Kentucky, and I get a match for him. I'm going to fight him in what's called the long knife. And I go find the guy I fought, that I bought him from. And he was like, or I told him, I was like, hey, I got a match for this rooster. He's like, man, that rooster's too young. He's not going to fight. And I bet $50 on him. I let my stepdad do what we call handle the roosters in the pit. So I was still a bit young at the time. And we put that rooster in there, and it was over like that. And I'm not going to go into details because I know how a lot of y'all feel about it. And I'm not ever going to get into that kind of thing, but I can't change my past. The fight was over instantly. My rooster won. I won $50 right off the rip. I ended up fighting this rooster a couple more times, and that's the thing that a lot of people think, that when you're fighting chickens that they die every time, and that's just not the case. This rooster won 3 or 4 fights, and then in his last fight he got cut pretty good, and I tried to doctor him, and he won, but he ended up not surviving. In the thumbnail of the video, there is a picture of my brother holding that rooster. That's my brother, that's not me. And I'll put it up here on the screen too. I'll put that picture up here. That's the rooster. And then the other pictures in the thumbnail are the chickens, the parents of the eggs that I ordered. I've looked and looked and looked, and occasionally I'll find them on eBay, but I've never been in a situation to get them. And then 2 weeks ago, I was looking and nothing. And then I popped up eBay one day, typed in white hatch, and there they were. I ordered 7 eggs, and they sent me 12, I think, so I got a dozen. Fingers crossed they hatch. Now, I don't know if y'all have ever dealt with shipping eggs, but shipping eggs, it's 50-50, probably less than 50-50. So I'm hoping we get a couple of them out of it, and I would just be absolutely, I would be over the moon to have some of these chickens. It's got a huge sentimental value to me, something that me and my brother shared together, and my brother passed away several years ago. So it's something that I would share, and for me, they're going to be yard ornaments. Again, I promised my wife I would never get into that kind of thing again. One, it's very illegal now. It was made illegal under President Obama in all states, and there'll be a yard ornament for me. If I do get a rooster and some hens, I will probably hatch babies, grow them out, and may sell them, but it's not going to be cheap. For sentimental value, and you can't find them. You can't find them available in the U.S. If you go somewhere like Mexico, the Philippines, stuff like that, where they do fight chickens a lot, still you can find them, but you just can't find them in the U.S. So that's it. That's the story of the white hatch, the legendary story of the white hatch, of how me and Bill Ray in the 1950s created these birds, and then I magically found one, and the rest is history, as they say. And before we go, I'm going to show you this view. Here's the view from up on my farm. There's the barn. My wife and girls are down there. That's in that you can just see the roof. I've got a trail camera right there, some corn. I've been having a couple deer. I had 4 or 5 deer come up, and I've had a couple fox squirrels on camera. You can see the sun setting over there. And that's it. That is the 304 Farms, the story of the white hatch rooster. Hope you folks have a good day.